Hello, Hwa Chong students. My name is Mr. Kelvin Tan. I hope you have been enjoying your flipped learning at this point of time. Okay, the objective of this video is to help you to understand what is the theory of contestable market. This is a topic that may prove to be difficult for some students when they are reading on their own for the first time. By the way, I'm in the new Holistic Education Center. This is Block D, and I'm trying out this recording in a soundproof room. So let's see how it works well. From your notes, right, the theory of contestable market argues that what is crucial in determining price and output is not whether an industry is actually a monopoly or competitive, but whether there's a real threat of competition. What does that mean? Okay, think of the concept of market share. Before this theory exists, economists and regulators used to regard market share as an indicator of the extent of monopoly power. Let me give an example. If there's only one firm in the market, her market share will be 100%, and the conclusion would be that that would be extreme market dominance. This means that the government have to be careful for abuse of that power. Now, with the theory of contestability, right, the main difference is that even if a firm has 100% market share, it does not automatically imply extreme market dominance, because the key now is about barriers to entry as well as barriers to exit. Okay, both of these terms, right, use the BTE. So to distinguish, right, I shall use BTE when I talk about barriers to entry, and when it comes to barriers to exit, I'll stick to exit costs. You are probably more familiar with barriers to entry, so let's tackle this area first. What is the implication of having zero barriers to entry? Now, in the theory of perfect competition, right, in the theory of market structure, you have learned that firms maximize profits by equating MR equals to MC. With contestability, now because of the lack of BTE, barriers to entry, the single firm will know that if maximizing profits leads to her earning supernormal profits, new firms would enter to compete away the profit. You have learned this in the theory of perfect competition. So because of this, right, once this one firm, right, know that there are no barriers to entry, they may decide to only charge price equals to long run average cost, earning normal profits to prevent this. Now, here may be something that's new. What do we mean by exit cost being zero? Zero barriers to exit. For contestability to hold, not only BTE should be zero, exit costs should be zero too. These barriers to exit are called sunk costs. You may have learned this part when you cover the monopoly chapter in your notes. Basically, sunk costs is that if you exit, since these costs are already sunk, right, these costs are considered unrecoverable. So if exit costs are high, even with zero barriers to entry, new firms may hesitate before entering, knowing that if they incur losses, it is not easy to recoup those losses. Here is something that will help you to understand what exactly is sunk cost. Now, there is a link between sunk costs and fixed costs. All sunk costs are basically fixed costs, but not all fixed costs are sunk costs. Let me give an example. As a firm, if you want to enter the pharmaceutical industry, you may have to spend money on R&D, say to discover the cure for AIDS. You are trying to enter this industry to discover this cure. The problem is that you will think, right, there's no guarantee that even after you spend the money on R&D, the R&D will work, right? So even though this R&D is a fixed cost, but if you fail to discover the cure after spending so much on the R&D, if you were to leave the pharmaceutical industry, all the money you spend on this fixed cost, right, cannot be recovered. That's why R&D is a fixed cost that is sunk. Okay, you cannot recover the R&D cost if you were to exit the industry. So knowing this, right, you will not enter this industry without making a careful calculation on whether you could afford to stay for the long haul. This means that the monopoly power of those already in the pharmaceutical industry is stronger. Let's contrast it to opening a hawker store. Now, we all know that rental is a fixed cost. But the thing is that if you decide to leave the hawker store midway through the rental period, it might still be possible to get someone to take over the lease, to buy up the remaining time of the lease. Another example will be cars, right? When you buy a car, COE, the certificate of entitlement, is considered a fixed cost. Okay, before you even drive the car, okay, you have to pay for COE. But if let's say in the middle of the 10-year COE, let's say you are in your 5th year, if you want to sell away the car, okay, you can recover some of the COE when you can get the COE rebate. So my point is that COE, even though it's a fixed cost when you buy a car, it is not sunk. Okay, if you sell the car, you can recover part of the COE that you have paid for it. Another example would be the hawker store. Okay, all the plates, the forks and the spoon, all these utensils, right? You have to buy before opening the store for business. They are fixed costs, right? But if you were to close the store, if you decide to give up being a hawker, you can always resell the plates, resell the forks, resell the spoons to another store. Let's say, for example, the wonton mee store. So these costs, right, they may be fixed, but unlike the R&D, they are not sunk. So I hope you can understand from this explanation that all sunk costs are basically fixed costs, but not all fixed costs are sunk costs. After I said all this, right, what does it mean for public interest? What does it mean for efficiency? What does it mean for performance? The point is this: governments, instead of worrying too much about how to regulate monopolies, may want to focus more on ensuring that the barriers to entry as well as the barriers to exit are as low as possible. Because once BTEs and exit costs are almost zero, the threat of potential competition is enough to keep any single monopolist from exploiting its 100% market share. Then this is the final slide. The main lesson for the government is to worry less about the number of firms. Don't just look at the market concentration ratio to determine the extent of monopoly power. Instead, governments should focus on keeping BTEs and exit costs as low as possible. They can thus enjoy the best of both worlds, right? A single firm would maximize the gains from economies of scale, and low BTEs and exit costs will ensure an efficient outcome. So I hope from this video, I hope you understand better what is this theory of contestability, what's the difference between sunk costs and fixed costs, and what does contestable market mean for government policies. Thank you.